Well, here we are, day 34, 6 weeks in to the old knee replacement.
42.
42, thank you. Um, 6 weeks to soccer field, we were saying. There is a soccer field right there. The door is locked. But even despite that, probably wouldn't be able to use it. But, quick, like demonstration of walking, I suppose. So I don't really think that much has actually changed from last week in terms of my ability to walk. Just sort of continuing to try and make it smoother and smoother. Have been doing a bunch of loops and trying to continue to add miles. So at this point, like yesterday, got up to 2 miles total with 2 1-mile walks in it. So decent distance. And also I've been trying to go like up and down hills and stuff because it's interesting trying to like replicate the way that my other foot is walking. And how it changes, you know, if I'm walking on like a steep hill, like where, you know, you kind of catch your foot if it's totally straight versus bent and that kind of thing. So doing a lot of like walking and trying to mimic how my left foot goes on my right foot. It's getting better. But yeah, let's head back to the house. Again. So for the inside stuff, really the big change that has happened over the course of the last week, over the weekend, we went to a wedding, and kind of as part of that whole trip was really trying to focus on walking up and down steps with just one foot. So ever since came back from that this weekend, have been focusing on that, which is a huge, I've got to say, huge just quality of life improvement. Being able to get up and down without falling on your ass, and just taking so much less time to do that, which is pretty nice. And also like starting to be able to like, you know, step up on the balls of my feet and, you know, kind of come up like that, which is a pretty big improvement for sure. So, steps. Down here in the Heelnasium, not too much to report in terms of like the PT exercises and stuff that I'm doing. That hasn't really changed too much in the last week, but, you know, continuing to do them. The big thing is that the electric bike that I've got has seen its last day. They come to pick it up tomorrow. My last actual exercise that I did with it that it had on the schedule was on Monday. So from now on, we'll only be doing the stationary bike, which seems like it's more, you know, beneficial at this point anyway. So goodbye, Romtech bike. I really did like this thing. Signing off. Knee surgery, no problema. The joke, of course, being that it has been a problema. Been a week since I did an update, so a decent amount of things have happened since then. Went on a road trip, sat in the car for 5 hours each way, which actually the car part of that was not so bad. In the last week, I guess since the last time, I was talking a lot about like the sleep issues that I was having. Those very much continued into the weekend. It was pretty bad, but did start to resolve on like Sunday night. Felt like I got a little bit better sleep. And then on Monday and Tuesday, I took the gabapentin at night, or just made that decision. And I think the combination of the fact that it was already getting a little bit better and the fact that I took the gabapentin definitely made a big difference. I got like 6 hours of sleep last night, like 5 hours of sleep, you know, continuous, which has not been the case for a while. So that was definitely really nice. So happy to feels like I'm getting onto the other end of the deep issues with sleeping. So that is nice. Still do have like a little bit of sensitivity in my leg, but I'm definitely getting a lot less of like the shocks through it, which has been good. Had my follow-up, the 6th week follow-up with the doctor today. In general, I would say that he was pretty happy with the way that things were looking generally. The scar I'll show in a second, but has the, you know, no like additional scabbing on it, which means that I can like, you know, bathe and wash it more completely and just be a little bit less careful around it, which is definitely really nice. Actually, I'll just kind of show you right now. So yeah, the scar definitely looks, you know, quite nice. You know, similarly like swelling on it. So as you can see, it's starting to come down. I mean, you know, it's still definitely a lot bigger. The surgeon seemed happy with the amount of swelling that I have on it. Like it was going down at a decent degree, and also that like, you know, the rest of the muscles and stuff like that seem to be coming back, you know, okay. So I had a couple of questions for him as I was going through. So One of them was like, just kind of what to expect from the swelling. So he said that it might not get down. So it's worth also contextualizing that like I have not had a normal size knee on my right side for a decade. It's always been slightly bigger. But he said that it was likely to come down, maybe not quite as like the size of my left knee, but kind of definitely like in that kind of general realm, which would be interesting. Just for my own personal, uh, bend and stuff in the knee. But and kind of related to that with the amount of the degree of flex that I can get in it. So measured on Friday at physical therapy, like 120 to 125 degrees on my right side, and on the surgery side, and like 140 on my normal like leg. That's fine. At PT, they were describing that as like, wow, that's a great success. That's probably like the upper limit of where you're going to get with bend in the knee. I definitely think that I can get a little bit further than that. It feels like I'm being limited a bit by the swelling. Well, I'm definitely being limited by the swelling. And so I feel like as that continues to come down, I feel like I'm going to be able to get more than that. Asked the surgeon about that. He also thought that it would likely be able to get a little bit more than it is right now, maybe up into like the 130s. He was saying like that would definitely be like an excellent result. Before the surgery, it was also interesting. He like went to the robot like readout to look at what the surgical robot's like opinion on what my amount of range of motion would be, which was pretty fascinating. But it told him that before the surgery, I had like 125, so about where I am right now, which seems legit. When I like put my feet kind of next to each other, I can feel like how low that they can go. And right now, it feels like it's pretty close to where it was before. Like I couldn't lower my right leg as low as my left one for sure. So it feels about where it was before. So like good, and then if it can get even more, that would be great. Apparently, the robot said that I could potentially get 130 degrees range of motion, and so I don't know what it is doing in order to calculate that, but I would be pretty happy about getting another 5 degrees of range of motion would be great. So that was interesting. With regard to the nerve damage stuff, to me, it feels like a very incremental change. It is clearly better. Like if I go back and look at the videos from like the first week, it is clearly better than then. But like after the first 2 weeks, the changes feel very incremental. However, going back to him, he seemed like very happy with the amount of improvement that there has been. Clearly, I can definitely walk better. To me, it's hard to say like, is that because I actually have more ability to control my foot, or am I just getting better at dealing with it? It's likely a combination of the two of those things. But and just like the different tests that he was doing to try and figure out like, can you lift up your toe or your big toe independently of the rest of your feet or the rest of your toes? Like how much can I pull up, but also how much resistance can I put, even if it's not like all the way at the top? He seemed pretty pleased with the amount that has improved, and like unlike the strength of me being able to pull up my foot, I can tell that a little bit, but that's also very clear in like the fact that I can sleep in bed without sheets or with sheets over my foot, because the first couple of days it was like I couldn't fight against the sheets, and so like it was really uncomfortable trying to sleep in that kind of situation. Now I can, and so clearly that it's like getting better in that manner. So that was good information. The other thing with regard to like the nerve stuff, foot is getting better. He thinks that I should go and do the nerve mapping test and get kind of a baseline on where it is right now. And then after that, if I can wait a while, and if it gets better, it gets better. No reason to go in and do another test, really. If it is like slower than expected or something like that, then you can go in and see, is it making any progress or what's going on. So likely will do that. Was hoping that I wouldn't have to do that, because by all accounts that I have heard, that is a very uncomfortable, shocking all over your leg kind of test. So not really looking forward to that, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, the last thing, other things that I was kind of asking about, like kneeling. Last week I was, like doing the different like squats and stuff, and I was figuring that maybe I could try doing like a child's pose, but I have not kneeled on my knee yet. And now that there isn't any more like scabbing on it, it seems like I could. So I kneeled very carefully on my yoga mat, like even on a towel, and it's a very bizarre sensation because like I can feel like the area around my knee, like I can feel all this like pretty normally. Right on the scar, I can't quite feel normally, but it's definitely some sensation. But the odd thing is that like the bone under it, like on my kneecap, I definitely can't feel like the metal. And so when like on the inside, so when I put pressure on my knee, it just feels like nothing. Like I can feel the skin, but I can't feel like the impact of or my weight on my knee, which was a very bizarre, like numb sensation. So that'll definitely take some getting used to. What he told me to do was to get like a pillow on a chair and, kind of slowly like put weight on it, go like, 10 seconds or whatever, and then increase the time to like a minute, then increase the time to like 5 minutes on a pad, and then kind of do the same thing on more and more hard surfaces until eventually it feels more normal to do, to kneel down onto like a harder surface. But that was definitely a bizarre sensation, and especially bizarre because like kneeling down on my knee was not something that I would ever want to do before the surgery, really. Like that was definitely a painful kind of thing. So yeah, what else was there to update about? I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, feeling more mobile for sure. Went on another bike ride over the weekend. Oh, and drove for the first time today a little bit when when we were coming back from my doctor's appointment. So that also is nice. Won't be such a burden to Lily to have to drive me around everywhere, hopefully soon. And yeah, so all in all, improving. So like big milestone with the 6 weeks. So I would say right now definitely feels like turning a corner on getting more mobility. A lot of the trouble that I continue to have, I would say, is related to the nerve damage stuff. The knee is definitely gets sore, but it is not. It doesn't feel that limiting in terms of, like at this point I can get around and get up and down stairs. Need to build back up the muscle that's surrounding it for sure. Need to, just keep practicing like walking around, but to add distances and stuff. But definitely starting to get back into feeling like it'll be a little bit more normal going forward. And obviously, like I have a relatively like high, level of activity. So if I were not at such like a relatively high level of activity, like if I were getting this when I was a lot older, I would feel pretty satisfied with the amount of recovery that I've had right now. Obviously, I've been pretty aggressive with the PT, which might not be realistic if you weren't as mobile, but kind of in terms of the knee stuff, it's definitely getting to a point where I'm feeling more comfortable, just kind of generally speaking. So yeah, we'll give another couple update in another few days. Probably do these more or infrequently, just because there isn't as much to talk about day by day. But yeah, 6 weeks in.